Hello, friends. Welcome to the Ancient Health Podcast, where East meets West. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Motley, and I have the privilege of my friend Erin Powers being here with me on the podcast because she was so gracious to allow me to be on her podcast. She is a health coach and nutrition expert for over 15 years. And if you see her design, her website, her page, you can tell that basically detox is one of the main things that she has really become an expert in. And I really want her to answer so many questions about metabolic health, especially in ladies. So Erin, thanks so much for joining us today.
I really appreciate it, Dr. Motley. It's nice to be back.
It's nice to be back. We had some technical difficulties. So everybody, if we have extra questions that we need to do for Erin and it prolongs because we have a hard stop, we'll have her back on. So I really apologize for that, Erin. But one of the things, though, to always bring more levity to the situation is we did talk about like my story. And one thing I want everybody to know is that on your page, I've been loving that you have been taking pictures of yourself for so many days in a row to say you get used to seeing yourself on camera. And that was really, really profound to me, honestly. Can you tell us, I want to know about that, but can you tell us about that? Like, we want to know about you and like your story and your journey. Can you give us that?
Yeah. I'm so glad you started with that, actually. So as we're recording this, I've been doing this for, I think I want to say 16 days, taking a full body picture of myself every day. And so the way I do it is I'm setting up my camera and I'm actually running a little video recording, and then I'll just pull screen grabs from the video. The whole reason I'm doing this is because I work with women on weight loss, metabolic health, weight loss, but I have kind of an interesting approach to it, kind of a sort of total body approach that also taps into the psychosocial aspect of women's weight loss. Because the women of my age group, we were programmed into dieting, programmed into body dysmorphia, quite frankly. Now, one of the goals that a lot of women have when they work with me is I want to like the way I look in photographs. And my hunch is we won't like that. No matter how much weight we lose, we won't like our image in photographs because we never look at photographs of ourselves. We do look at our reflection. We do maybe look at a selfie, but you're unconsciously posing. So if I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I stand up straighter, my shoulders go back, I'll probably turn on an angle that I like, and I do that unconsciously. So I think my body looks like that. Then when somebody takes a picture of me, I see that picture and it's distressing. It's distressing for women to see pictures of themselves because they're just not seeing it. And then we make it mean something. Oh, my body is the problem and I need to change my body. But actually, this is a neck up problem. Wow. So the spirit behind this experiment is habituating your brain to the visual image of what your body actually looks like. So I can help women with lots of things, but I don't think I can help women with the liking the way they look in photographs, because that's actually more of a cognitive dissonance than an actual body problem. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And I know I like this. I mean, we can go deep in this because when you say cognitive dissonance, so if a person's mindset views themselves differently, the way their brain is programmed could actually give them body dysmorphia just from the way that their mindset is programmed.
Yeah. I use the word distressing. So it's a distressing experience to look at a picture of yourself and have it not match what you thought it was going to look like. And when we make it mean something, this means I'm fat. This means I'm unattractive. This means I've let myself go. And I'm actually trying to soften that. It's because all it means is you haven't looked at yourself in photographs. So the idea of habituating to I'm doing it for myself because I'm the same way. I don't like the way I look in pictures either. So I'm taking this picture of myself every day. And the whole idea is I just want to achieve a state of absolute neutrality. Oh, that's what I look like. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's been 16 days, and so far I haven't gotten there yet. I'll be really frank with you. It's interesting because every single day I take these pictures and I look at them and it's like, oh my gosh, and I post them. And I'm not there yet. I don't feel neutral about it. It is still plaguing me when I see my own photographed image. Some days are better than others. Yesterday, I posted a picture. Yesterday, I thought I looked great. Yesterday, I was feeling really good about myself. Then I posted the picture, And I was like, oh, I don't look that good. I walked around all day thinking I looked great. And I looked at the picture. I was like, oh, which again speaks to the transient nature of our self-perception. Right. And I think this is pertinent because I'm working on women on fat loss and changing their body composition and changing the way they look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that experience of looking at oneself is such a transient, totally neck up thing.
Yeah.
The body changes very slowly, but the way we think about our body changes all the time from day to day.
So would that mean, answer this for me, like if you saw a picture of yourself and let's say today you look great and then yesterday I didn't look so great. Do you think like tomorrow, because of your mindset changing, you could possibly see the day that you didn't think you looked well? Like if you changed your cognitive dissonance, you could actually look it back and go, I actually look pretty good.
Yes, I do. Um, I think our mind play like we're being tricked a lot by
Mm,
our
mm,
brains, right? So, like I always tell my clients, on the days where you wake up feeling kind of pretty,
mm,
right? Write that down somewhere. Put that in your notes
mm,
app on your phone. Say on September the
mm.
26th, I felt kind of pretty today. Because on September 27th, you might wake up feeling like a troll, right?
Oh,
But nothing changed. Nothing physically changed in 24 hours or even like
mm,
2 days or a week. Like things don't change that quickly, except for how we feel about ourselves. And a good example of this is women. Well, this is so common for any woman my age will hear this, will resonate with this. But we look back at pictures when we were in our 30s, let's say, and we'll say, "Oh my gosh, I looked so good then. I wish I looked like that now. Gosh, I would give anything to look like that now." But when that picture was taken in your 30s, you hated it. You hated it. You hated
mm.
that picture up until now. So I think about this all the time because of what I do. Like I do weight loss, but I don't do it in this fitnessy, like get shredded for a photo shoot kind of way. Like I'm nauseated by that. Honestly,
Mm,
that arm of the
mm,
fitness and wellness industry.
yeah.
I have to think about it from the perspective of how do women um, interact with the way they look? What do women think and feel about the way they look? Because we are
Yes.
changing your body compositions. It's going to change the way you look, but it's probably not going to be this miracle, suddenly I'm gorgeous paradigm. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like we have to
Yeah,
just achieve like a neutrality.
that's a good point, though. A neutrality, though. Do you? So, would it be that as you develop your mindset and change that, of course, you could see yourself like in the past, like you say, 30 years ago, like, no, I actually looked really great.
Yeah.
Do you believe with weight loss? Because I love the fact that even in your posts, is that you talk about that, like you're saying, like I'm not all about just like how thin I could be or how I could get an hourglass figure, and that's like, and I was really impressed with that. But could your mindset change your physiology? As in, if you had a better mindset about yourself, you could have the propensity to actually change your shape if you thought
I
that
think
way.
so. I think so. And actually, this is funny because you were having some tech issues before we got in here today, and I was
Yeah.
thinking to myself, poor Dr. Motley, he's probably stressed out, and your DNA has no idea what to do with this kind of stress because we're not supposed to stress out about microphones and cameras. Your DNA is like, why are we stressing about this? But I feel the same way about women chronically their whole lives stressing about their bodies.
Mm.
And I mean, like, never mind the sort of biochemistry of the stress response, but just being constantly bathed in worry and panic and fear. Like if you think about the emotions wheel, the root emotion that every woman feels when they come to work with me is fear. It's fear about being stuck one more second in this
Mm.
body that's not measuring up.
Mm.
So we're just rolling through life with a low grade fear all the time.
Mm.
And I do think that blocks us from, for sure, happiness, but I think it also blocks us from health. And I think it blocks us from weight loss. And so, like, I work with my clients in these very long coaching relationships that we touch on food, obviously, and
Mhm,
exercise,
mhm.
obviously, but mostly we're talking about like feelings,
Yes,
feelings.
your feelings.
Yeah, it's
And do the
mostly feelings.
feelings Sorry. Oh, go keep going. I'm so sorry.
No, it's just mostly feelings, because the feelings are the thing that that really deeply influence our actions, obviously.
Hmm.
So the moment you feel like it's not working, you're going to quit.
Hmm.
And we all know that the best way to never get results is to continue quitting. And I don't care what results that is. It could be results in weight loss or relationships or finance or, career, anything. If you're going to quit, you're not going to get the results. But the feelings are what make us quit. People will say, I feel like I'm not getting results. Well, that's because you've
Mm-hmm.
got this panic, the origin of this whole endeavor is panic and fear. So could we, I got my work cut out for me. I'm simply a nutritionist. I don't have a counseling or therapy background,
Mm-hmm.
but I've spent so much time with women on the relationship with food and body that I've learned that we just need to talk about the feelings more than the food.
I'm really love to dive into about feelings about oneself, and to touch on and get your opinion on this, because at times I've been working with patients that are ladies that say, well, I get a lot of weight um, down below my navel, and
Mm-hmm.
it's around my ovaries, and I got a little excess weight. Now, when we get their hormonal tests done, they'll definitely have chronic high cortisols in certain parts of the day. So like you just said, that a person's feeling like if they're always feel like they're always running from something, or they're not good enough, they're not achieving enough, there's a fear of not moving ahead. And
Yeah.
and I think one of the things that's profound about your teachings was that the way you talk about when somebody has too much stress, it signals to the brain to actually prevent other hormones from kicking on. And one of the things like that hit me is because some of these patients will not have a great period. They actually
Mm-hmm.
will have a skip, or they'll have a stall in their period. Are you seeing, like, with the feelings, like their feelings literally, it's not like just because uh, the cycle caused their mood to go offset, it's really like their consistent fear is really even changing their hormones.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, a lot of my women are kind of done with that menstrual part of their lives, a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
clients,
Okay.
or on the way out. So we don't have any predictability on that piece of it. But I think about hormones a lot. I do think about hormones a lot. I think about the metabolic hormones. I think about insulin, cortisol. I contemplate melatonin to be a metabolic hormone because I think about circadian rhythms. And I also think about the ancient wisdom, obviously, as do you, the ancient wisdom of our bodies. And anything that we do that's a mismatch the body has to respond. Like, we're the pilot of the meat suit, and all this chemistry inside of us is believing us. When we bring in the
Mm-hmm.
input, the body believes us, like, oh, it must be really stressful and difficult out there in the world because this person's bringing in this panic or fear feeling, and the
Mm-hmm.
body has no choice but to respond. And I think, hormones are responsive and responding body chemicals, responding and responsive to signal. I always think like signal, not math, right? This is one of my, I always say this to my clients, and I never know if it makes sense to them, but because the dieting industry is so math oriented,
Yes.
like
Yes.
calories, macros, whatever. And so I think signal, what's the signal you're sending? Could you send a safer signal for
Wow.
once? What if you sent a safe signal? And one of the things I often tell people is I think weight loss should feel easy, not hard. And I think that's really countercultural because weight loss, my clients even tell me, well, if it's not going to feel hard, it's not going to work.
Mm.
And I'll say, but it's been hard. It's been hard for your whole life since you were 12 years old and your mom dragged you to Weight Watchers. What if it could feel easy to just be in your body? It's it's a major reprogramming. But I do believe in this idea of sending in the safe signal. I like circadian rhythms, anything that makes sense from like a circadian rhythm perspective. Like, it makes sense to eat breakfast. It doesn't really make sense to snack all night before bed. Like, what makes sense? What makes sense? Just trying to almost drop my clients into like a bit of a logic
Yeah.
paradigm,
Yeah.
in a manner of speaking, just so that they're not so overwhelmed by feelings.
That's a good point. But how would it be like a simple exercise, or how do you start that process? Like you tell somebody, this is where we're starting. It doesn't have to be hard. Like, how do you start that process?
Great question. The very first anchor action I have most of my clients do, it depends on who's in front of me, but when clients submit an intake form, I'll get a sense of what we need to work on. I want them to have some kind of quick win. And by that I mean I want them to feel something changing.
Oh, yeah.
as quickly as
Yeah.
possible. That bites me in the butt sometimes, because I want them to feel some kind of quick win, but I also need them to understand that the totality of the change will take a long time, and there's not a lot of excitement along the way. Like, change is really long and slow and boring sometimes. But the first thing I typically start with folks is called the epic breakfast. And
Yes.
so
What
the
is it? Yes.
the parameters of the epic breakfast are when you feel your first hunger of the day, and I don't care when that is, it doesn't matter. There's no magical time. Just whenever your body sends signal of hunger,
Mm-hmm.
so the body's sending out a signal to you. Your job is to respond to that signal. So answer that hunger with a protein dominant meal, eaten all the way to satiety.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the three parameters of the epic breakfast. We're acknowledging our hunger signal. We're
Mm-hmm.
actually answering it, because this is a thing with women. We are programmed. My
Mm-hmm.
generation of women are programmed to dislike, fear, hunger, I would say. Or more importantly, it's like my generation of women feel like if I feel hungry, that means I'm doing it right. Like, that's how dysfunctional and deranged our relationship with food is, that hunger is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, for the first time in your life, you're going to actually accept hunger and answer it all the way. And here's how you're going to answer it. I say a protein dominant meal, and there's sort of a circadian rhythm piece to that as well. But also, quite honestly, women just don't eat enough protein in their diet. And so this is very trite. We've all heard this, but front loading it in the early part of the day is just easy, because your day is going to get away from you for sure.
Yeah.
And then the final piece of that is eating all the way to satiety. So I call this the handshake of metabolism, because the body queued up hunger, and then you fed it, and it queued up back to you the satiety signal. That means you did it. You did it. That was your whole job. When the body asks, you delivered. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a nourishment piece to that, which is a nutritionist I care deeply about, deeply nourishing women who I think have gone chronically undernourished for
Mm-hmm.
their whole lives. Again, the demographic women that I'm speaking with. But there's a nervous system piece of this too. Like, contemplate the absolute safety and abundance of that signal. The body queued up hunger, and you gave it back a full satiety signal. And now the body thinks, oh, things are great in this environment. We're nourished, we're abundant. So that's the interplay. I like this idea, because we have to factor the biological piece of weight loss. I have to factor in the psychosocial, the programming.
Mm-hmm.
And that nervous system element. Like, for 25, 30, 40 years, you've been panicking about your body. Let's just totally change that. What if it felt easy? What if it felt safe? So that's how I typically do it. But I'll tell you, it's hard. Women don't love it. They don't love eating a big breakfast, because they think it's unladylike or something, or they're going to gain weight. So there's a lot of, it takes forever to get women convinced to eat. But I just think that's the path.
That would be very tough, and I mean, I'm not trying to speak as like a woman, like knowing how a woman feels. So, ladies out there, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you get to a point like in the morning, and you thought all your life, I've been, taught, if you eat a lot, like you said, it's not ladylike. You're going to get overweight, and when you start to the epic breakfast, when a person does do a higher amount of protein, and I'm not trying to shift gears too much, does that higher protein, I've heard, kind of program your brain to feed something that would feed your muscles? Like, you're actually taking in something that would feed your body, instead of like craving like a heavier starch or a carb. Yeah. Does the high protein get you that satiety faster?
It does. It does. And this is the protein leverage hypothesis that was popularized by two, some biologists named Robbenheimer and Simpson.
Oh.
And every creature on planet Earth eats until its protein needs are met. Every creature. They research bugs and fish and birds and orangutans and humans. Like, I have horses, right? So my horses have to eat 16 hours a day, because they're eating grass. They're eating grass. There's not a lot of protein in grass. They have to graze, right?
Yeah.
And then we're these omnivore animals. And I know that I don't want to necessarily get into the weeds of folks' different sort of beliefs on plant-based versus animal-based diets, but we are omnivore animals. And so our protein appetite, like, when the body cues up that hunger signal, it's asking for nourishment. Like, that's just a very big blanket word I use, but the nourishment was probably driven by amino acid need. micronutrition, hydration, fuel. Like your brain is constantly tabulating your fuel needs. And when the sun rises in the morning, we have this sort of circadian waking where the brain has now done the math and said, okay, here's what we need to get this day started. And a big proportion of that is the amino acid need. So we deliver the amino acids early, and the body goes and puts that to work. It's like, thanks, great job. It puts it to work. Now you don't feel hungry for a long time. So we have these feasting, fasting moments. Like I'm not a fasting proponent only because most of my women come to me just not knowing how to eat at all. So the last thing they need to be doing is fasting. I want to teach them how to eat. But there is this, we get the feasting done, then we get to live our lives while the body puts that nourishment to work. And then we might get hungry again several hours later, then we feed again. There's a sort of method I take my clients through. I call it the funnel, where the meal sort of density tapers to the end of the day. But what this does is it's so crazy that in the realm, in the zeitgeist right now with the GLP-1 medications, this concept of food noise. I've literally been talking about this for 15 years. When you're well fed, your appetite doesn't come knocking. Your cravings don't bother you. You're not addicted to sugar. You're not a mindless eater. You're just hungry. So if we solve hunger, and this is the quick win women get from the Epic Breakfast. Nobody's losing weight immediately from the Epic Breakfast, but they're saying to me, oh my gosh, I haven't binged on sugar in 3 days. And that's great from a health perspective, but it's really great from a brain perspective, from a thinking perspective, because this person had themselves pegged as some kind of uncontrolled binge monster. And we just resolved that self-identity. Like, look, you're not dysfunctional. You're not a problem. You're not some defective thing. You were just hungry.
Just like internally, the body's like, you're basically starving. Like you need this nourishment.
I don't think women are starving. And I'm going to be really careful because I don't think women, like the thing is you can't gain weight by under eating, but if you don't eat sufficiently, then you're plagued by cravings all day long. And then we have snacking all day long, and the snacking really adds up calorically. And then we get to the end of the day, when we get to their 40s and it's like, oh my gosh, somehow I gained 50 pounds. I don't know how. I barely eat. And it's like, well, like in a sense, they are barely eating because they're having these very demure lady meals like yogurt and a banana and a protein shake. They're not actually ever satisfying or satiating hunger, but they are eating. They're just snacking all day long, and the snacks don't count. So that's where their weight creeps up. And there's a metabolic dysregulation there too. I think women get to midlife mildly insulin resistant, but I also think that's because of the what I call the demure female eating pattern, which is just snacking just nibbling and snacking and undernourishing all day, and then just kind of like binging at night.
And so that keeps their insulin resistance going.
Yeah, I think it does create some insulin resistance just because there's that chronic slight dribble, shall we say, of fuel into the blood all day long. And I really do believe that the human body thrives in feasting and fasting paradigms from an insulin response perspective. That's more, it's meant to be these ebbs and flows of insulin response rather than this like low grade chronic insulin all day long kind of thing.
And that takes me to this other point. Like if you're snacking all day and say there's binging, is there a danger though when ladies go into like calorie counting? Because I've heard you talk about calorie counting. I don't say dangers of it, but when people do count calories and they think that's going to help them lose weight, but they don't lose weight, they just stay the same or they keep gaining. Can you describe or talk about that?
Yeah, well, the thing, like, there's no danger in calorie counting. It's just nobody wants to do it. Like, nobody wants to do that. And so you don't want to do it. You're not good at it. And so then it just becomes this additional thing we add to the pile of things that didn't work. Well, I tried counting calories and it didn't work. Well, because you don't like counting calories. Nobody really wants to do that. So I don't do anything like that with my clients. So like, you don't have to count any of this food, but what you do have to start doing is trusting your body's signals, hunger and satiety, because we can trust, and this is also like difficult for women, but we can trust that the body has tabulated our nutrient needs accurately. We have an internal portion control system. Yeah. And as long as you learn how to answer your hunger signals like a grown-ass adult, not like an unsupervised 11-year-old, then you will eat enough without overdoing it. And by the way, like that's one of my sort of personal I guess, qualities is that I treat myself whenever I want. I just don't overdo it. So I want my clients to indulge in food pleasure and food joy and have the joy of eating when they're hungry, this basic joy, but learning how to not overdo it, because I think the overdoing it, the binge behavior, is also a relic of the restrict behavior. And caloric restriction just perpetuates that. And there's nothing wrong with it. It works fine unless you don't want to do it. And then it's not going to work. So then women who don't want to count calories have to have somewhere to go. And that's that's me. Come work with me. I won't make you do that.
When they come to you though, do you on your program, when they don't want to do that, you start the epic breakfast. Are there any types of blood markers? And I'm not trying to get too deep into labs, but like if there's a time when a lady needs to look at a lab marker that would say you're not getting enough protein and you're not nourishing the body with what you need, are there specific ones that you try to look out for?
Mm-hmm. So I love that you asked this question, because I just want to make this little rally cry. I'm a nutritionist and a health coach. I am not qualified to request labs. That is out of scope of practice for health coaches. I'm going to say that one more time. It is out of scope of practice for health coaches to request or decipher their clients' labs. That is in the purview of a licensed health practitioner. And that's not me. And I only say that because there's just a lot of health coaches that I think are overstepping. Yeah, it's not good for the health coaching industry for us to be playing doctor. Okay, so stop it. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way. As it turns out, because my current clientele, and I've been at this for 15 years, so I started in my mid 30s and now I'm almost 50. So my clients have grown with me, aged with me. Now we're all in this menopause transition. So we are getting our blood tested all the time, because part of the sort of transition into menopause is, ideally you get a full comprehensive metabolic panel when you go and get your hormones tested, right? So you're getting everything. So they might get an HbA1c, they might get a fasting insulin, they might get their, they're probably going to get their blood lipids tested. That's interesting. I want them to have that conversation with their doctor. But if they do come to me and say, oh, the doctor said I was like a little pre-diabetic or insulin resistant, it's like, cool, I can totally help you with that. Anything in the metabolic realm, I think we can move those markers. I'm not going to make bold promises. I'm not going to send them back for testing, but it's like, I think we can move the needle on those markers by making these changes, because I really do geek out on metabolic health. But the other thing that I think is really important is that, and this is in the realm of the menopause conversation, when women are going through that transition, they don't feel like themselves. They really don't. Like their energy's low and their mood is off and their body hurts and they can't sleep. And it's all this bullshit, really. I'm sorry. And so when you feel like that, it's extremely hard to want to take care of yourself. So what I will say to my clients is, I really want to help you find a doctor in your network or in your city or whatever we're doing who's got a modern view on menopause and is hormone literate, so that you can go and have a conversation with them to maybe get some menopause hormone therapy or something dialed in so you can start feeling like yourself again, so you're more motivated to take care of yourself. Gotcha. And then you're going to come work with me. I'm going to work on food and food behavior and movement and sleep and stress and all the lifestyle stuff that is in my purview. So I really do stay in my lane on that. But obviously I think the value of these biomarkers is immeasurable.
And when you're taking into consideration, because of your own experience with the biomarkers, and to sort of switch gears, like when you know that your body is probably in a state where you have to start to nourish it, how important, when you see the blood markers and you see possibly in your body, you're not reaching satiety, you're snacking, a little bit too much, but how important do you use any type of stretching or physical work to actually help with digestion, to help your feelings? Because I think that's really important when we talk about fascial stretching, and like in a lot of Chinese medicine, they'll use different types of forms of stretching or meditation, yoga type practices. But do you use that in your settings?
That's incredible. I don't, but now I want to know more about it. Because as you were saying that, it's like, that's amazing to me. Like, yeah, there's so many things that influence how we are nourished. And
Hmm.
I learned this in my holistic nutrition school. If you're not digesting food, never mind metabolically what's happening, you haven't done the basics. The food isn't even digested yet.
Yes.
So like digestive health is crucial. Now I tend to just kind of skip this, for better or worse, I skip over digestive health. I do a little gut support stuff here and there because that's just brass tacks, but I just get into the metabolic stuff, like how is the fuel working in your body, if at all. But I mean, this is the kind of thing that I'm deeply curious about, because potentially you would have, you would know better than me, some kind of interesting like fascial stretch tactic to get digestion working better. And that could be a difference making maneuver for somebody.
I I've noticed that with patients, especially if their stomach is contracted because there's too much fight or
Mhm.
flight. This is just an example, and you'll check on a patient at times, and their stomach will be so tight from them working so hard and pushing themselves, and they come to you and they're like, I just can't get a full breath in, and their
Oh.
diaphragm can sometimes be locked down. And, you want to stretch the diaphragm, of course, to help the stomach to drop, to actually allow the food to get down into the stomach. One of the things that's really tough, I think, is when they call it rebellious stomach chi, is that the energy or the electrical charges to help you with moving your food down your
Mhm.
pipe, is that it has to mature the muscles and get them to be ready to push the food down into your stomach. And what I've seen with patients, though, is that if they ever have a lockdown, it will actually reverse the current. You'll see charges up on their rib cage, like by their sternum, will be very tender. Like they'll go, that hurts really badly. And all of them, Erin, will say, I really feel like I'm not very hungry, or I feel nauseous, because
Mhm.
they say the stomach is not prepared, not just electrically, but the blood flow follows the electricity and vice versa. And with this, though, I always have it here. I'm not trying to be talking too
I
much
love
about it,
it.
but like the stomach meridian will come right down here and eventually goes right down through the stomach, and it nourishes the muscles down through the stomach. And what you'll find, though, is like when you say a movement, a lot of these patients will have very tight stomach muscles, like very tight abdominal muscles. And I normally tell them here, or their quads, because that's the stomach meridian, or down near their shin
Mhm.
bones. And the thing is, if you press on those points, they'll be extremely tight and tender. And
Wow.
I would say that if you don't stretch those muscles, you are not going to allow electrical charge to flow through your stomach. You're going to have a harder time. And I'm just saying, you'll press like here on a patient,
Mhm.
every one of them, their ankles will pop and grind. And they go, every night, my ankles just pop. And I'll take their ankle and I'll just move it around, pop, 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 do this on their stomach. And they'll literally say, there's like warmth all through my stomach. And I go back to that point when you're talking about the chronic fear, how it like locks things up. So I'm not trying to get too far down that road. I'm sorry if I went down that road for
Mm-mm.
everybody out there, but like that, I love it that you have the all encompassing like aspect about your feelings. And
Yeah.
everybody out there, I got to be careful with time with Erin, but I'm saying we're going to have Erin, we'll set up another time, like literally if we can in a couple of weeks, come back on, because I want to
Mhm.
talk more. I love the idea of your mindset.
Yeah.
And a couple more questions though. Now, with your mindset, and we're talking about creating food programs. Do you find that each person that comes in, you have an idea of like what kind of foods they should eat? Like with the epic breakfast, you're like, you need beef, you need turkey, something like that.
I think I love this because, when I went to nutrition school, we definitely um, were taught in the realm of bioindividuality, and I do
Mm-hmm.
believe in that. But then there's this idea of like, from an execution perspective, how can I systematize this so that most
Mm-hmm.
people will get the most outcomes? So I think I've really honed this through the personalized coaching relationship. So basically, I say, well, here's my template of what I want the epic breakfast to look like. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that could be beef or eggs or some kind of animal protein of some sort. But what can you do? And somebody might say, well, I don't really like red meat. Like it just makes me feel heavy. Cool. Then we won't do that. What
Mm-hmm.
could you do? And I have clients who can't do any animal protein. They don't like it. So we work on the plant proteins, or we'll just hit eggs and dairy if we can. So I guess I get my clients. I want it to feel easy for my clients. So I can't tell them what to eat because that would be immediately hard. It's like any other calorie or macro coach telling you what to eat. I'm not in the business of doing that. I'm going to give you some parameters of how to eat, and then the what to eat is going to come from, your preferences, your budget, your schedule, your family, what your body seems to tolerate or not tolerate. Women don't have a strong sense of how their bodies react to different foods, because we've kind of been detached from the whole process. But I just get them to kind of tell me what they think they want to eat, and we work together on co-creating the menu. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when we're talking about bio-individuality, you're right. I think that the thing that I like about practice too is that we have to go with the flow with each patient and each client. We understand it's not really cut in stone. We all have to adapt, and that's even with my clients as well. No one is the same. Like no one is ever the same. You may see some patterns that are similar, but man, this is okay. One thing though, we got a couple minutes, but I just want to say, this is a big question. Like typically in your day, for people out there, like what's your daily like diet and routine? Like a quick synopsis. We got a few minutes, and then guys, we're gonna get another one, and we'll combine it with this. But what's like a typical quick synopsis
for my day?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my day is really simple. I got to tell you, I train first thing in the morning, strength train, and I don't train insane. I just go and get it done. Just check the box, strength training to keep my body strong. When I get back from strength training, I am now hungry because I generated a hunger, which I love. I love that idea of I generated my hunger. My body has tabulated what it needs and sent me the hunger signal. I've been practicing my epic breakfast for 15 years. So I delight in having my epic breakfast. I had this morning 4 eggs and some kiwi and a really nice piece of sourdough bread. And like, to me, that is the most like dopaminergic experience of actually eating nourishing food when I'm hungry, and I generated that hunger. So I ate that it was probably 11 a.m. by the time I got home. It's now 2 p.m. here. I have calls all day. I'm on Zoom all day long. I'll get one more meal in usually, and my satiety durability goes all day. And then I have a second meal, which is typically more fresh, like plants, crunchy, lighter proteins. I'm a 2-meal-a-day person, and I feel like I get to eat beautiful food at both meals. I never want for anything. I don't feel deprived. I feel very well fed. I'm maintaining a relatively lean body composition through the menopause transition. I'm not having any of the menopause issues because I resolved my metabolic dysregulation in my 30s. And I think a lot of the stuff that women are coming into menopause experiencing are inflammatory and metabolic in nature. And so putting down these practices really helps to quieten all of that stuff. So I'm a 2-meal-a-day person. I eat very simple food that's huge meals that would astonish most women, huge, but 2 of them. Yeah. And calorically, I'm maintaining my body composition. So I think it's working, right?
It's working. And okay, guys, I know we have to cut short, but I would think that look at your page, because I love the simplicity of it, but the effectiveness of it. And I want everybody out there to listen, because Erin's true blue. She sticks by what she talks about and what she does. We're going to set up another time where we'll continue this. But Erin, really quickly, let us know how to get a hold of you, your website, everything that they can contact you with.
Honestly, the best place would be, to your point, is just follow along on Instagram, which is the one social platform that I'm the most active on, and it's Eat Simple Erin. My website is eatsimple.ca, which is the Canadian suffix there. But Eat Simple Erin on Instagram is your best bet. You can see what I'm all about.
Oh, okay. Everybody, it was my fault for having very bad technical prowess. But Erin, thank you again. I'll have Christy reach out, and everybody out there, we'll get it set up. We'll do a continuation. But thank you so much. I know you have to go, but thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was fun.